thevoicebeforethevoid.net. The Watchtower by Lord Dunsany. I sat one April in Provence, on the small hill above an ancient town that Goth and Vandal as yet have forborne to bring up to date. On the hill was an old, worn castle with a watchtower, and a well with narrow steps and water in it still. The watchtower, staring south with neglected windows, faced a broad valley full of the pleasant twilight and the hum of evening things. It saw the fires of wanderers blink from the hills. Beyond them the long forest black with pines, one star appearing, and darkness settling slowly down on Var. Sitting there listening to the green frogs croaking, hearing far voices clearly, but all transmuted by evening, watching the windows in the little town glimmering one by one, and seeing the gloaming dwindle solemnly into night, a great many things fell from mind that seem important by day, and evening, in their place, planted strange fancies. Little winds had arisen, and were whispering to and fro. It grew cold, and I was about to descend the hill, when I heard a voice behind me saying, "Beware, beware." So much the voice appeared a part of the evening that I did not turn round at first. It was like voices that one hears in sleep and thinks to be of one's dream. And the word was monotonously repeated, in French. When I turned round, I saw an old man with a horn. He had a white beard marvelously long, and still went on saying slowly, "Beware, beware." He had clearly just come from the tower by which he stood, though I had heard no footfall. Had a man come stealthily upon me at such an hour in so lonesome a place, I had certainly felt surprised. But I saw almost at once that he was a spirit, and he seemed with his uncouth horn and his long white beard and that noiseless step of his to be so native to that time and place that I spoke to him as one does to some fellow traveler who asks you if you mind having the window up. I asked him what there was to be beware of. "Of what should a town beware?" he said. "But the Saracens." "Saracens?" I said. "Yes, Saracens, Saracens," he answered and brandished his horn. "And who are you?" I said. I am the spirit of the tower," he said. When I asked him how he came by so human an aspect, and was so unlike the material tower beside him, he told me that the lives of all the watchers who had ever held the horn in the tower there had gone to make the spirit of the tower. "It takes 100 lives," he said. "None hold the horn of late, and men neglect the tower. When the walls are in ill repair, the Saracens come. It was ever so." "The Saracens don't come nowadays," I said. But he was gazing past me, watching, and did not seem to heed me. "They will run down those hills," he said, pointing away to the south, "out of the woods about nightfall, and I shall blow my horn. The people will all come up from the town to the tower again, but the loopholes are in very ill repair." "We never hear of the Saracens now," I said. "Hear of the Saracens?" the old spirit said. "Hear of the Saracens? They slip one evening out of that forest in the long white robes that they wear, and I blow my horn. This is the first that anyone ever hears of the Saracens. I mean, I said, that they never come at all. They cannot come, and men fear other things. For I thought the old spirit might rest if he knew that the Saracens can never come again. But he said, there is nothing in the world to fear but the Saracens. Nothing else matters. How can men fear other things? Then I explained, so that he might have rest, and told him how all Europe, and in particular France, had terrible engines of war, both on land and sea, and how the Saracens had not these terrible engines, either on sea or land, and so could by no means cross the Mediterranean, or escape destruction on shore, even though they should come there. I alluded to the European railways that could move armies night and day faster than horses could gallop. And when as well as I could I had explained all, he answered, in time all these things pass away, and then there will still be the Saracens. And then I said, there has not been a Saracen either in France or Spain for over 400 years. And he said, the Saracens! You do not know their cunning. That was ever the way of the Saracens. They do not come for a while. No, not they, for a long while. And then one day they come. And peering southwards, but not seeing clearly because of the rising mist, he silently moved to his tower and up its broken steps. I need to check the date of this. Whether it's before or after World War I. Oh, okay. Here's the preface. Ebrington Barracks, August 16th, 1916. I do not know where I may be when this preface is read. As I write it in August 1916, I am at Ebrington Barracks, Londonderry, recovering from a slight wound. But it does not greatly matter where I am. My dreams are here before you amongst the following pages. And writing in a day when life is cheap, dreams seem to me all the dearer, the only things that survive. Just now, the civilization of Europe seems almost to have ceased, and nothing seems to grow in her torn fields but death. Yet this is only for a while, and dreams will come back again and bloom as of old, all the more radiantly for this terrible plowing, as the flowers will bloom again where the trenches are, and the primroses shelter in shell holes for many seasons, when weeping liberty has come home to Flanders. To some of you in America, this may seem an unnecessary and wasteful quarrel, as other people's quarrels often are. But it comes to this, that though we are all killed, there will be songs again. But if we were to submit and so survive, there could be neither songs nor dreams, nor any joyous, free things anymore. And do not regret the lives that are wasted among us, or the work that the dead would have done. For war is no accident that man's care could have averted, but is as natural, though not as regular, as the tides. As well regret the things that the tide has washed away, which destroys and cleanses and crumbles, and spares the minutest shells. And now I will write nothing further about our war, but offer you these books of dreams from Europe, as one throws things of value, if only to oneself, at the last moment, out of a burning house. Dunsany. Huh. That gives it some context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That last line about throwing the books out of a burning house. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It was the middle of Europe destroying itself. So that adds a layer to that. Watching for the Saracens. It's like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd read that before, that preface. And I kind of liked it, especially after that last line. But the thing is, he was still for England. Yeah, when Weeping Liberty has come home to Flanders. England entered the war because of Germany's invasion of neutral Belgium, and that was that's why they went to war against Germany. So, but it's partisan, Say that, we have to fight because if we don't, then there'll be no more freedom. I mean, it's, yeah. But nonetheless, he was a hell of a writer.
Wait, you think that's a ridiculous thing to say, basically?
Of course it is. It always is.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, always, yeah. That's how you convince your lowly citizens to go and fight when there's no reason for them to do so. Yeah, you tell them some kind of bull. I mean, yeah, it's all rich people vying with each other. Yeah, and there's really interesting stuff about World War One, like the necessity or the non-necessity of it. Plenty of it. Well, in fact, I mean, that's even the experience of the war poets, particularly Sassoon, where he just became so fed up and wrote his denouncement of the war, which was published, and then it itself was denounced in Parliament. It earned him a trip to the sanatorium rather than jail or drumming out of the army because he had powerful friends. But where he just railed for a paragraph about how the war was being propagated by industrialists, war profiteers, because they made fortunes making arms and guns and bombs and meanwhile, millions of just regular people were dying, were being murdered. Yeah, it was criminal, in fact. And World War I is such a great example of it, but that's all war, always. It's always the rich just using the poor. Yeah, the one story about that was interesting was Theodore Roosevelt's son, one of his sons, was an aviator in the Army Air Corps and was killed on the Western Front. And that had such an impression on the German soldiers because there were no sons of important German politicians actually fighting.
Mhm.
If they were in the
Yeah.
military, they were officers and, far from danger. It was, a remarkable thing that the president's son was killed in the fighting. And that was more just Roosevelt's attitude and how he raised his children. Like, you read his stuff and it's really, really, he was a remarkable personality. But an exception, because of course, what was it now? Like, how many children of United States congressmen are actually in Afghanistan? I think it's 0. I think it's been 0 forever.
Mm.
They don't make the sacrifices. Yeah, the rich, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't have their children going.
Well, no, privilege always buys its way out of that. But they're the ones who get to make the decisions about it and make the money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you tell all the poor people. You tell them it's for liberty or fighting evil. It's always,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even World War II, which acquired more significance in hindsight when the Holocaust was revealed. But even that, there's plenty of, there were people against it during that war as well. Because it was still the same. It was still just, rich people fighting with each other for control of the world, and it was still profiteering. Yeah, the whole notion of, good versus evil is, everyone always thinks that. That's always what you tell your side.
Of course.
And even the Holocaust, as horrific as it was, the Americans and the Brits, all of the other, every combatant committed atrocities that are inexcusable, indefensible, unforgivable, horrific till end of time. The Americans developed an atomic bomb and they dropped it on cities. It's lucky for them they won. And that makes it difficult. It doesn't make it difficult. It's unacceptable. Like, you can't, if you're going to associate yourself with any group, you have to believe that you were in the right and you're not as evil as the people you're fighting. But any kind of objective stance on it, it's like, my God, they were all pure evil. To propagate war is to propagate evil. There's no other perspective, that's morally sound. Yeah, the Saracens.